lovely little roach on polished punch cum here at Tockenham Fishery. Simple, effective way of fishing, especially as you get into the colder months. Give it a go, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. The most important thing is mixing it up. Let's just have a look how I mix it up. Right, well, let me just take you through how I mix it up. Before I mix it up, I just want to tell you a little bit about it. It's not just like a normal punch crumb. It's got a hint of aniseed, and it's a coarse and fine mix 50-50, which gives it the unique way you mix it up. If it's too fine, it clogs a lot and you get a lot of waste. But having a 50-50 coarse and fine, you get a nice texture and less waste, and a superb mix for breaking up if it's mixed up right. Now, simply rip the bag open, and in all the ground baits that I've designed with Hinders and in their cart range, you've got a self-seal top, so you can break it open. If you don't use all of it, you can then reseal the lid or the top of the bag up, and it keeps it safe and dry. But let's just open it up, and I'll mix one whole bag up. I'd probably maybe even mix two up, but I'll just show you simply mixing one bag up. And I can smell the aniseed in that now, and you can see that it's not a coarse texture, but it's a fine texture. That's the unique blend of it, 50-50. If that was all fine, I'd add water on that and they'd clog up so much. And the trouble a lot of anglers thinking, using it, and the best time to use it is as we're coming into the winter period, as it gets colder, because it is a superb bait for catching roach. I mean, you'll catch skimmers and other fish on it, but it is renowned for roach fishing, for canals, lakes, rivers, when the cold weather sets in and as the fishing gets a little bit harder. It's an unbelievable bait, and it's instant. It's not a bait that it takes a while for the fish to come onto it. It's a bait that works straight away. Now, simply, like I've emptied the contents into that container there, and just add a little bit of water. Never add the water, the ground bait to the water. So I'll just pour a little bit in there and just mix it round. Now, a lot of people use drills. I'm one of the old school where I just like to use my hands and push it through a riddle. And another thing with different ground baits and different times of the year is, this is quite a fine sieve. I'd probably call it a pinky riddle. Now, I'm going to run it through there so it gives me a slightly finer mix. But obviously, summertime, you might run it through maybe a maggot riddle, which gives you slightly larger feed lumps in there. But you must riddle your ground bait. But I'll show you why when I run it through the riddle. Now, I've added a little bit of water there. There's a few little lumps in it, and it's starting to feel dampish, but I would like to add just a little bit more water into that, just to get it so as it's damp to feel, but only add a little bit at a time, because with punch crumb you can add too much water and you can get the texture wrong and you will not be able to riddle it. So I normally add 2 lots of water, just mix it round gently so it all gets a thorough soaking, and then I'll probably leave it for 10 minutes. Sometimes during a match winter time, I've knocked it up the night before in the kitchen, just so it's ready and it's really soaked in the water, absorbed the water. But you must have it so it will sink, it will compress together, and especially when I show you with riddling it, that if I was to use it straight like that now, it won't break up, and it will break up into big lumps. And I'll show you by riddling it, you take all those lumps out, and then if it's the right consistency and it's mixed together with the right amount of water, that I can, after I riddle it, I can squeeze it in a real hard ball, and it will just gradually open up like a sponge and all break up into the little bits that I've riddled. So I'll leave that to stand just for a few minutes, and then I'll show you how to riddle it. Okay, well, this has now stood for about 10 minutes. I'll just loosen up my hands. You can see there's lumps in there. Now I'm going to riddle it. Now, I said before, if it was summertime with your ground baits, you can use like a larger riddle, because that's a finer one. But I'll just show you, I'll empty the contents into this bucket, and I'll just show by using this larger riddle the lumps that you get. So just riddle it. As you can see, on top I've got all little lumps, and then I've got the finer mix below. Now, you can try and push those lumps through a little bit, but what it's just where the water's hit the mix and where it's the fine and the coarse together, it's just clogged it together and it's formed lumps. Now, if that was to dry, it gradually break up, but if you don't riddle it, you'd be feeding that, and one fish can come along, suck up one of those balls and fill it up. So, discard that, but that's nothing from a bag. What we've got, we've probably got half a cupful. There, so I'll just tip that on the bank there. Now, I'll show you putting that back into the bucket using a finer one. So a finer riddle still than the larger hold one. If I put that on there now, tip that same mix onto that riddle and riddle this through, you'll see you'll get more lumps but smaller lumps. Now can you see those there? Now they're not as big as the other lumps here that would fill this, but they're still larger lumps. Now you can try and push those through, or what's in with them, little bits come off it, but by riddling it you're taking out that bigger feed value that you would feed. So now if I look at my mix, it's a lovely fine mix, and I can squeeze that in a ball, and when I throw that in the water it goes down, opens up, look, it all breaks up to the mix that I've pushed through that riddle. Very simple. You can determine the size of particles in your punch crumb you want to feed. So if I didn't riddle it, I'll be feeding the large lumps that I've discarded away. So by riddling it I get that mix, and then by riddling it again I take out, these not large lumps but they are, for as it starts to get colder, and it's much better feeding that finer graded particles through the finer riddle, and then I'll be fishing on the hook a small piece of punch come over that, probably a 4mm piece that will stick out like a sore thumb, and hopefully the fish will intercept that first before it picks up the other loose offerings. And that's so simple not your punch crumb up, but you must riddle it. That's why it's so important to riddle it. If you don't, you've got an awful lot of feed going in one hit in big lumps like I've showed you, and that's just showing you just the two different riddles. That one takes out the real big lumps, and then by using a finer one that takes out the smaller lumps. But maybe on a river that would be ideal to feed in with the finer mix. So very simple. It's different situations, different venues, but as a rule that would be the best mix for all venues coming to winter time, be it canal, drain, river or a natural lake. Superb for fishing and brilliant for catching roach. So let's see what we can catch on it now. Well, you've seen how to mix it up now, so no excuses. Right, to kick the swim off of what I've just mixed up, one ball. Squeeze it hard because we've probably got about 6-7 foot of water out there. I'll pop that in and then we'll fish straight over it. I'm fishing out about 13 metres. Because it's a bit colder and the water's very clear, I'm just going out into the deeper water where the fish feel they got a little bit of cover. So let's pop a ball in and see if we can catch. Now the harder you squeeze the ball, the more time it will take to open up. So I've squeezed that, what I'd call like a 5-foot squeeze. I know it sounds silly, but that would probably fall through the water at about 4.5 foot, 5, and then it'd just start opening up and just drop down naturally. Forms a nice cloud, fish come in, moving around with it, all sort of lifts up off the bottom, and then I offer my little punch. 4mm punch on the hook. Simply fishing with one of my MP Roach gram float to take it straight out. Olive that, and I've got 4 droppers, 4 number 11 droppers. Just simply a 4mm piece of punch on the hook. Like that, and I'll offer that amongst that ball of punch crumb I've just put in. And like I say, it is instant. If you're going to catch, you catch straight away, or otherwise it's a day when the punch don't work. But let's have a look. I'm now lowering it in quite quickly, lowering it down. Lift the float up, hold it a minute so it all straightens out, drop it down on my punch crumb. Now I'm looking hopefully to get a bite straight away. There we are, instant. little roach first put. Oh, nice little roach, about 1.5 ounces, 2 ounce, and that took a matter of seconds and minutes. Just simply fish away. There's no need to loose feed anything through a catapult, because you're fishing, you're trying to catch them on the bottom. And I wouldn't feed another ball, probably till my bites start to ease up a little bit, but as a rule, I'll pop another ball out there, probably in about half hour's time, just to keep it topped up. Lower it in, just lift it up so it all straightens out, drop it down, waiting for the droppers to pull round, and looking for a bite straight away. There's an indication again, another little roach. Lovely way of fishing, very clean. No mess, lovely bites. Slightly larger, that one. If some of you are thinking, why am I using an all-the-vet rig? Like I just said, it gets it straight down to the baited area, straight through the water. I was fishing a little rig strung out, you might not see a bite and they'd take the punch off your hook. This way it's so positive. Lovely way of fishing. Well, another nice little roach to end the session on. It's been a cracking day here at Tockenham. It's been a roach bun. I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have. So get on the bank, now it's getting colder, and give the punch crumb a go. You've seen how to mix it up, and obviously Polly's punch crumb through Hinders with a hint of aniseed is a must for the colder months now for your red punch fishing.